Now, we've divided our whole theory of guard retention into two major areas. There is a general theory of guard retention in which we look at broad principles and concepts, and we use those to hold someone off who's trying to pass our guard. Now we're going to move to the second section, which is the form of guard retention that most people understand and practice in the world of Jiu-Jitsu. This is a more specific approach to guard passing, where the idea is I identify what is the actual methodology of guard pass that my opponent is using, and then I focus upon the strengths and weaknesses of that guard pass. I look to solve the central problems that that specific guard pass creates for me, neutralize the threat, and then ultimately put my opponent back in guard and get back into an offensive cycle. There are, in this video, around 7 major forms of guard passes, which are seen most often in modern jiu-jitsu. Variations of these forms of 7 forms of guard pass account for over 90% of the various successful guard passes you'll see in championship competition, and so we want to focus on those. The key idea is that any given guard pass has its, as we said before, strengths and weaknesses. Any given guard pass creates central problems, and if we can identify what the guard pass is, identify the central problems it creates, and neutralize those problems, you're going to stop most of your opponents from passing your guard on most occasions. Looking at a situation where my opponent goes to work, there are many different guard passes that my opponent can go to employ. We've identified a subset of the most popular and the most successful guard passes. We'll be looking at those in the coming chapters, but you can see that your opponent can rapidly change between them. So for example, he can start with a Toreando pass and then pop up to his feet, and then from here he could change that to an X pass, a variation of a Toreando, where he can now send my legs through and go in. As I stop that form of guard pass, now he can scoop underneath both of my legs, and from here go into a very useful form of guard pass, double scoops or double underhooks as they're often referred to. If I feel I'm doing a good job of fighting my opponent off, he can thread hands through, and then from here switch off into an over-under guard pass, where he goes under one leg and over the other and work from this position. From an over-under, as I go to push him back and go back into Toreando passes and throw my legs by. And there's often a rapid exchange from one form of guard pass to another. What I need to be able to do as the defensive athlete is to identify what form of guard pass is being used against me. I should be able to identify that in a split second. Once I've made the identification, I should have in my mind what are a list of the central features of that guard pass, what are its core strengths and weaknesses. I should be able to negate my opponent's guard pass at those weak areas and then go in and retain my guard. So this is the specific approach to guard passing, very different from the general one that we've been looking at so far. The idea is step number 1, identification. Identify what is the guard pass being used against me. That's going to come down to your ability to learn what these guard passes are. We're going to focus on 7. There are others, but these 7 account for the vast majority of successful guard passes in modern day competition. So we'll focus on them. Step number 1, identify the guard pass. Step number 2, have an understanding of what are the strengths and weaknesses of that guard pass. Step number 3, neutralize the guard pass at its weaknesses. Identify what I need to be able to do to stop that particular guard pass from being effective against me, and then either get back into an offensive cycle, or if my opponent switches to another form of guard pass, make a switch and continue the operation. Identify the guard pass, attack it at its weak points, and get back into an offensive cycle. This is the specific theory of guard passing, and that's where we're going to be turning towards now.